Welcome back, guys. I feel like it has been a while since I've had a chat specifically about marriage, and it's a topic that you guys ask about all the time. I have a lot of people who have been in my DMs lately and they've said, I'm about to get engaged, do you have any top tips for me? Or I'm in the middle of like wedding prep and all of that. I just want to know what to look forward to or what to be looking out for, all of that. Do you have any tips for me? That sort of stuff is what I get all the time in my DMs. And we've been married almost 2 years. We live in South Carolina now, and I can't wait to give you guys a whole house update and how things have been going, and to sit here with Nick. Nick is going through a lot with his family right now. One of his family members is not doing really well right now, so I just wanted to take the load off of him, like take any pressure that he feels to film with me, to just have a chat with you guys. You might be hearing the washer. It's very loud and I don't know why it's so loud, but please bear with me. There's going to be several things that I'm going to share that I've learned that have been great, and some things that are not so great, but together they're all learning experiences, and they're things that I've personally been challenged on and Nick has been challenged on, and things we just want to pass on to you as well wishes into your future. So the first thing that I wish I would have known before getting married was that every habit that I've ever formed, from being around my family, from just doing things the way that I've always thought they're supposed to be done, will be challenged and have been challenged per my experience. And those things are as little as the way that I clean, the way that I wake up in the morning, the routines that I have, the things that I just have that are quirks. They're all gonna be kind of pointed out and acknowledged or challenged, depending on what they are, what the extent of the way that I live. And the same with Nick. I have challenged him on the very things that he has thought have always just been the same for everybody, and the same for me. I thought that things are just always done a certain way, but whenever you have two families coming together that have grown up completely differently and they're merging as one, you're going to notice certain quirks, certain habits, certain things that you think that are not necessarily bad, but just aren't the way that you've always thought of. I can think of one. This is a behavior one. So I grew up in a family where we were always expressing how we felt affectionately towards one another. Like my family is very big on hugs. They're very big on just like letting you know that you're loved and all of that stuff. And the family that I married into is not so much affectionate. They'll hug you when you say hello and goodbye, but not just because. And my family's a very like because, like, oh my gosh, I love you, you're so sweet, I love that you did this. It's just very affirming in the way that you like live and things that you do, but the way that Nick's family is affirming and loving is through more so like acts of service. If you've ever taken the love language test, they're more so like, if you do this for me, it shows me that you love me. If you do this a certain way, it just shows that you really pay attention to detail and that you love me. And for me, I think I've grown up in a family where I admire quality time and physical touch because I was just around it a lot, and we were very expressive. So not any of those are wrong, or not any of those are better than another, but they're just different. And when we merged together, I think I was lucky in the person that I married out of Nick's family, because he is more so expressive than a lot of his family is. But I think that's just kind of how it is when you get in a relationship. You kind of have to be that way in some ways, just so you know that you love each other all the time. It's one of those things where I know that my mom loves me, but it never hurts to hear her say it like 500 times, you know, throughout the span of my life. And I think that you guys could probably agree to some extent. So I would love to know how your family is. That would be really fun to know, like all the different types of families that we have on this channel. You can comment that down below. One other thing that I wish I would have known before I got married was that I would get in serious arguments with the person that I love. And that doesn't mean that there's anything really wrong going on in our relationship. It just means that it's another opportunity to learn about each other on a deeper level and come to an understanding that will lead in a deepening of the relationship. So anytime that an argument comes up like that, I see it as almost like a window of opportunity It's hard to see it this way, but challenge yourself to see it this way. A window of opportunity to embark into the unknown a little bit, yes, but understand each other more, because anytime that you're having an argument, if you're thinking of this from a spiritual lens, Satan does not want you guys to thrive after you have an argument. He wants you to hold that thing against each other and sit in your pride. But what the Lord has always intended for fruitful fellowship and arguments are to be a time of deepening of the relationship and understanding and empathy. And so when you see things through that lens, you see it as an opportunity versus something that could be stolen from you and just dwelled in and defeated by. And you're letting the enemy have control of that part of your relationship, and you're not allowing it to go deeper. A few days go by as we communicate and we work it through, and then we're just like, wow, as much as that sucked, we're so glad that it happened, because we understood each other more, we empathized, and we were able to understand what the new common ground is that we have to move forward on. And it's one of the coolest things. So understand that you are going to argue. In the moment, it's going to feel like the most awful thing ever, and you're just like, I want to tap out and end this right now. But those are your feelings. They're not the pinpoint, the foundation of your relationship. Feelings should never be the foundation of your relationship. The third thing that I want to mention is you think that you love that particular person as much as you could right now. You think that you have very strong feelings, your love is so deep, and just excited to start your life with this person. Or maybe you've already started your life with this person and you're already married, but you're just listening to this for further guidance or knowledge or whatever. No expert here, but this is just personally what's happened with me. I've noticed that as things are challenged, as we go on further into time and we're working on the deepening of our relationship, that I grow in that love. I don't fall deeper in love with someone. I am a huge proponent, huge advocate for growing in love with people, because falling in love kind of incentivizes that you're just like going into this dark hole of emotions and like there's no coming out of it. To me, it kind of has like a more of a negative connotation, but take it as you will. Like, growing just means that something is continuously, you're on the stair-stepping ladder, you're going up. And so one thing that I'm just so grateful for is that I continue to just grow in that love, and it's deeper than what I ever thought it would be. And I think in 10 years you can ask me and I'd look back at this video and be like, wow, I really didn't know anything, because I'm going to be challenged when we have kids. I'm going to be challenged when that kid makes a friend and we're trying to navigate our kids' friends' relationships and our relationships with other parents that happen to have kids. And it's just going to be a lot. Like, as you go through life, there's new things that are introduced, new things that are challenged, and I think that's a good thing. This one is like 2 parts. It's kind of been pointed out a few times in what I've already said, but you will challenge each other and you will correct each other. And this can hurt sometimes. Anytime you're challenged in something that maybe you're not so strong in, or it doesn't come naturally to you, you are called higher, and you can't do that alone. Thank God we have each other in this relationship to hold each other up, or to give that encouragement that we need when nothing that is in our head is good. Like, in those moments where I know that I'm kind of having a battle of self-hatred, let's be honest, sometimes we have those times, and somebody else is able to pull you up out of that rut and just say, what are you doing? This is not who you are. This is who you are. And they remind you whose you are and who you're called to be. And it's just really encouraging to have those moments. And on correction, whenever Nick is able to look me in the face and say, hey, I understand why you're feeling this way, but it's not cool that you are continuing to wallow in this, or that you are continuing to just choose to not move forward. And those times hurt sometimes, and I do the same thing to him, but it calls you higher, and you're able to move forward and to learn and to grow. And I just think that those words that I've just said are a continuing topic and theme in this video because it's something that you'll learn over the span of time of being with this person and going from like dating and knowing somebody only on a certain level to covenant marriage where you are in this long-term relationship with this person and you guys are buckling in for life and you have to choose, all right, when this person challenges me, and am I gonna like fire back and say, no, you're wrong, you're the one that's actually doing this, and just like point out something in them? Or are you gonna say, you know what, I'll think about that and you may be right, and thank you for pointing out something that may not be easy for you to point out and loving me enough to encourage me to work on this area. All right, the last one that I want to say, the last thing that I'll leave you guys with is being willing to say sorry and I forgive you. There's a lot of moments where we mess up in every relationship in our life, with our family, with our friends, with the people that are closest to us in our romantic relationships and our marriages. And one thing that I need to continually tell myself is it is better to say I'm sorry than to say and have the assurance that I'm right, because in the end being right doesn't matter as much to me as it does that I am one with the person that I'm with and that I'm on the same page with the person that I'm with. And sometimes it takes communication and realizing, okay, you may be right and I acknowledge that you're right, but one thing that I want to put above the fact that both of us are right, or both of us, you know, are on different pages at this point, is our communication and our intimacy, and realizing that that is more important than just saying that I'm right. Every video. So be willing to say I'm sorry and be willing to say I forgive you. It is so humbling to acknowledge that you did something wrong and you're going to say not only I'm sorry, but when that person says, you know, I'm sorry too, or I'm so sorry that I said that to you, or that I did that to you, that was not right of me, to be able to say I forgive you. It's not only a freeing thing, but it allows you to just move on. You can sit where you are and you can dwell in the hurt, or you can dwell in whatever was said or done to you and think that it's all about you, because in reality that's what arguing does. It allows us to sit in our pride if we don't resolve it. Or you can say, you know what, I forgive you, like, let's move on, because I know that you're imperfect, I'm imperfect, and we're both trying and striving to be the best that we can be. And the more that we continue to forgive each other, and the more we continue to say I'm sorry, and the more we continue to allow that person to have that grace, then the more we can move on and the more we can learn from what we've talked about or went through. And I think that's a really key part, is letting the person that you're with know that there is a certain thing that you might see that's continuous and that they're always apologizing for and you're forgiving them for. There has to be sometimes some outward sense of accountability in your relationship if there's a certain thing that you guys are working through. And when we've stepped outside of ourselves and gotten that help in certain areas, it's always been a blessing, and we've always been able to work through and conquer that specific thing. I hope this speaks echoes of encouragement into your heart and into your life, and I will see you guys in a few days in our next video. Deuces.